This week on the Weekly Read.
Hey, what's up? Welcome back again to another episode of the Weekly Read. I am your host for today, your boy, back at it again. Of course, with my girl here, Danae, you know what I'm saying, she decided, she came up with the perfect idea for me to interview her. You know what I mean? Because she wanted to interview everybody else, so it's her time.
I know it's my time to shine.
Yeah, exactly. So, just like, I guess, we don't need to break the ice.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you said, you feel like you know me at this point.
I do.
But I feel like, you're still kind of secretive.
You think?
A little bit.
I think I'm just naturally aloof. Like, I just am
Yeah, like you. But at the same time, you're very inquisitive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you want to find out about everybody else.
Uh-huh.
But then people try to ask about you. Like, oh, yeah, I do this. I do a little bit of that.
I try to be a little modest.
Yeah, a little modest, you know what I'm saying? But alright, dope. Alright, so of course I have a few questions for you.
Okay. Are they what kind of questions are these?
They ain't crazy,
Okay.
They're not crazy, they're cool.
Okay.
So in no particular order, I guess. Well, let's keep it simple.
Okay.
Let's start off, where are you from? Like, what are some of the things that you like to do?
Okay.
Like, just give me the basis on, like, who Danae is.
Okay, so I'm from Abington, Pennsylvania. It's like 40 minutes from where we shoot. I just graduated from Westchester University, which is maybe like 50 minutes away from here.
Shouts out to you, Westchester.
Yeah. And my parents went at Westchester, so it was always my first choice. I went to school for communication studies, minored in African American history, and obviously I want to be a talk show host. As far as interests and hobbies go, I model professionally, as you know, and as I'm sure you guys know too, so I spend a lot of time doing that. I just got a job at a radio station, so I'm working in my field. I decided today that I was going to go to grad school at like 3:30 in the morning, so that's new. But yeah, I just like to chill. I like to eat. I'm a vegetarian, so I like to come up with new vegetarian meals and stuff like that. My favorite color is all the colors. I love every single color. Luther Vandross is my favorite male singer. Yeah.
Respectable.
Yeah, Solange is my favorite female singer. And I hope to move to New York soon.
Word.
Yeah.
But that's for the show, everybody.
Okay.
But, alright, cool. So, I'm not really familiar with all of Pennsylvania. I'm obviously from Delaware, you know what I'm saying? So, what was it like, growing up for you? Like, I know you grew up in a two-parent household and stuff like that, but what were some of the things that you can say have really, impacted you, longevity-wise?
That's a great question. So I think, there's a lot of things that make up a person's identity. So that is, if you do come from, the household that you live in, if you're an older or younger sibling, if you're an only child. So I like the way that you phrase that question. But I have a younger brother, so I feel like I'm naturally I can be very motherly because of that, and I expect a lot from people. I have a specific idea of what love looks like because of my parents and growing up in a two-parent household. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before, but I grew up in a predominantly white suburb, and that's shaped a lot of my identity as well, I believe. And it's funny that you asked that because I just wrote a paper about the complexities of an article on the complexities of black identity and what it means when people black people tell other black people that they talk white or that they're not really black. And I think that's something that has shaped my identity. And I think part of I mentioned that I majored in communication studies. I don't know if I said I minored in African American history, but that's really the reason why I did, because I wanted to learn more about myself and my heritage. So I definitely would say all those things have made up who I am. Now, more personally, I just like to do a lot of research, and I like different things, and I look at things. So I guess that shapes how I dress and things along those lines. But as far as how I move, I would definitely say that the external factors in my life have been the biggest driving force.
Okay, so because I've gotten that same kind of sentiment too, growing up, you talk white, or you sound this way, or you sound that way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having that experience, it does kind of make you question you know, like who you are in a sense, but like it makes you, to me, it made me feel as though like, well, like that doesn't make me any less as a black man than anything else.
Yeah.
And if anything, it's like just because I might speak with a little bit more vernacular than the next person doesn't mean I'm any less part of this whole thing than you are. And I think it's crazy how people like make it out and try to make you feel like
you like are an other.
Right. You know, it's a whole crabs and barrel mentality. It's like if you don't speak like us, you don't talk like us, you don't walk like us. Like it's a whole like thing where it's meant to like just break you down and tear you down. Like have you like really like because this is gonna be my later on question, but like to start that off, like have you like experienced something where you know it really kind of like had that impression on you from one of those instances with somebody?
What do you mean?
Like someone telling you like
like the impact that it had on me?
Yeah, like someone like say, oh, like you're a white girl today or something like that. Like, you know.
Honestly, and it's like so funny again that you bring this up because I just like wrote an article yesterday about it, and I'm actually planning to submit it to a magazine. But it definitely does have huge effects on people, and people don't realize the implications that their words have. The first time I heard it, I probably didn't take it, I wasn't offended, I don't think, because I know what it was like growing up with in a predominantly white area with a lot of white friends, and feeling like I was inferior to them. So I feel like the first time that I heard, oh, Danae, you're not really black, like it was a confusing statement, but I wasn't offended, and I was kind of relieved to hear it because I was like, oh, you think that I belong with them. They're good, you know? And it's really unfortunate that people people go through that. I have to say I was about like maybe 9, and it's something that I've heard like throughout my whole entire life, even like once by a white person. She told me she was blacker than me. It's like, yeah, this had to be like in high school. I know, it's crazy, right? It's crazy, and I just, you know, and, you know, so I actually heard it as recently as maybe like a couple weeks ago, and it's died down a little since I went to college, but it's still something that I kind of deal with, and it makes you think. At first, it, you know, like I said, it didn't really affect me, then it really affected me, and now it still stings a little, but I use it as like a means to have a conversation about what that really means and what you're really saying. Because if you're telling me that I'm not really black because I say ing at the end of my words, because you know, like a lot of people in our culture.
Or you pronounce ask.
Yeah, or like ask. Yeah, you know.
Or so you pronounce water instead of water.
Yeah, so people, you know, associate like pronunciation. People associate the way you look, the way you dress. Even the household you come in. I've had somebody tell me like, oh, you're not really black because you come from a 2-parent household. And I'm like, so if you really think about what you're saying, you're telling me that black people aren't supposed to be educated, that they're not supposed to come from 2-parent homes, that they're not supposed to be different. And that's an issue within our community that we need to talk about and really dismantle, because the sad thing is a lot of people really don't mean it like as an insult when they say it.
They just don't know.
Yeah, they don't mean it as an insult, and they think it's like, I feel like it's kind of like they feel like they're praising you in a way, but that's very weird to me.
I don't think I ever got like that feeling of praise. Like whenever someone told me, like, cause growing up I used to listen to like Fall Out Boy and like Panic at the Disco, like, you know, like alternative rock bands, and like it was like my favorite like people listened to at the time. And I remember like one of the kids in my school, it was in middle school, like they heard me listening to it. It's like, oh, like we listened to it. I was like, oh, you know, it's Fall Out Boy, such and such and such. It was like, hey, what the fuck is that? Like, they just got on me. This I didn't know. I wasn't expecting it. It just came out of nowhere, and like I knew like it was different for me to listen to that kind of music, but like I didn't know like it was such like a taboo thing. Right. You know what I mean? I just thought we could all listen to whatever it is we listen to.
Well, we can.
You know.
And you know, I think I should clarify in terms of praise. I mean, and that's been more recently. It's more of a like you're like better off than we are. You know, I don't mean like, oh, like good for you. You know, it's more of a you're better off than we are.
Right.
And I'm really not, because I'm so black at the end of the day.
Let me ask you this: Have you ever been called spoiled?
My whole entire life, literally every 2 seconds.
Me too. And here's the thing, and I had a conversation with my mom. It's just like, one, when you grow up with 2 parents and they want a better life for you than what they had, it's gonna come off to other people like,
and they're able to provide that too.
Right, and you know, provide that for you to other people who have maybe not as much as you or a little bit less, they're gonna look at you as someone like you said, who's spoiled, who gets whatever it is that they want
Spoiled,
to, entitled. When in reality, it's like, no, you just didn't have the same advantages as me, and it wasn't like
that's okay,
right.
Yeah,
and at the same time, I'm pretty sure you didn't get everything you ever wanted that you ever asked for.
No, I wish I did.
So did I. Like a lot of times, it was always no. Like that's why, I to this day, I have a hard time really asking my parents for stuff because it's like, I know, the possibility may be a no.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's what I was taught. I was never given everything, but to other people who might have had like a more disadvantaged life than you, they
or
feel
had to
as
work,
though
maybe a little bit harder.
work a little bit harder. Like they feel as though things were given to you.
Yeah.
Like you didn't earn it.
Yeah, and I recently saw it's been a discussion on Twitter about how much your parents are supposed to help you. So traditionally in the Black community, after you're out,
18,
you're out.
Get out.
Yeah. And I have been fortunate enough that my parents aren't like that. But it's been like a discussion about should your parents be making you pay bills at 17? Should they be making you do this and that, or should they let you save up? And until you get to the point where you're ready to move out and do those things on your own. And I think that's a really interesting point. It's kind of like a double-edged sword because on one hand, people who start paying their bills at 17, 18, whatever, they are ready to take on the world more than I feel like when they're ready to leave the house. Now for me, I'm about to start paying my own bills and I have no idea, what to do. But I do have the money saved up because my parents didn't let me, force me to do that before. So I feel like it's kind of like a tricky thing. Like it's like pros and cons to both.
I remember me and my mom, we talked about the same thing. Like we were driving home one day and she was like, I want you to notice all like these cars and these driveways and everything. She said, those cars don't belong to those old white folk living in there. Those cars belong to their kids. They belong to like whoever else living in that house. Because for them, other people, they don't kick out their children the same way Black people do. Like I said, after 18, like you gotta get out of my house. Like that was the thing. And like I really feels like it stems all the way, obviously back from slavery into Reconstruction, all that kind of stuff. Where it's like it was a mandatory thing for people to split up a Black home. And so when you get
it's like
that
ingrained in our DNA.
Right. So when you get to nowadays where it's like, oh, you're 18, we're start paying bills around here, you gotta get a job and all that kind of stuff. Like I didn't get like a job until I dropped out of college and everything. And at that point I was probably like 19, I think. So it was just like, to me, my parents, they didn't force me to get a job after I turned 16. They didn't force me to start paying bills when I got my first job.
Right.
Like it was all part of a process. And to make a long story short, it's really my mom told me that it's instead of cutting off your parenting at a certain age, you need to teach your children how to be adults.
Right.
Because when you kick them out into the world's going to teach them. And you don't know what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's best to nurture them still because they're not going to know everything when they get out. Like you say, people who might pay their bills early enough, might know what to do when they get out there, but they don't have like the knowledge and the principles to know everything that it is to go on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they might know how to pay their electric bill, but don't know how to file their taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I learned to do that, I was like, oh shit, I'm about to move out. But I was like, nah, it's a whole lot more than that. So like, slow it down, So like for you, I guess to change gears a little bit, something more fun. What are some of like your most funny / embarrassing stories that you had like in middle school? Because I feel like middle school was like a terrible time for everybody.
Funny / embarrassing.
I had those days. I just want to hear yours.
So I have a lot, but I kind of feel like I don't. So I guess I was like in like 8th grade, and I had gotten in trouble because I wasn't really caring about my grades or anything, and my mom made me delete my Facebook.
My friends.
Yeah. Because at the time I was like, Facebook was everything. Like,
it definitely
Facebook
was.
for us is how like kids 14 and 15 now view Instagram.
Shit, MySpace.
Yeah. So my mom had made me delete my page. until my grades got up. And so, of course, being a teenager, I made another one. And I made my name Alexis Love.
It's like a porn star.
That's what everybody says.
Yo.
That sounds like a porn star. It really does. So,
Alexis Love.
Yeah, right. So I made my name Alexis Love. I had a whole nother page, built a whole other identity and everything.
She was catfishing out here.
Yeah, I was. And then I remember like one day I had been on my Alexis Love page and had liked a picture on my regular page. So I'm sitting in like Spanish class, and my mom texts me, "I'll see you after school, Alexis Love." Yeah, so that's probably like one of the funniest. So when I was in, this is probably funnier. When I was in, and I'll give you like the short version, but when I was in 7th grade, I had a boyfriend, and I had got this new lip gloss, I was feeling myself, and I had kissed him. So I had texted him, "How do I taste?" But I actually sent it to my dad. So yeah, so at 12, 13 years old, I sent it to my dad, and I just remember walking back up to my house. My dad he walked right past me, didn't speak to me or anything. I'm trying to send text messages, and none of my texts are going through. I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, what is going on? So I had a friend over, and we were supposed to go out that night. So my mom comes home, and she's like, her name is Tracy. She was like, "Tracy, come on, get your stuff. It's time to go. Danae, come with me, whatever." So I'm like, okay. So my mom drops her off. Literally, as soon as Tracy walked in her house, my mom takes my head and crashes it into the car window. And she's like, "You're gonna let some boy introduce me." And like, that's probably like the funniest. That's probably like to this day the funniest thing that's ever happened to me.
Nigga, I'm dead.
Yeah.
The first thing is, I know that feeling when like you get that text or like your parents get called from school, nigga, your heart drops straight to the floor.
I was like, what is going on? My mom was like, so this is what you text. So yeah, that's probably what it's funny.
That's so funny. I can't imagine. Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know what pussy is. My head.
He said, "No one's gonna be eating vagina in my house. That's all we're doing over here. That's how I raise you."
Yeah.
Look at your pussy.
Yeah, no, for real. For real.
No, I remember like shit. This is kind of fucked up, but like I remember like I used to get bullied a lot, and then like eventually I became a bully. Like, I started hanging out like with those type of kids and shit. And like I remember one time like, and I was never like really like I was just with them. I wasn't really a part of like the whole thing. Like they'd be cracking on people and all that kind of stuff. I would just be there laughing, you know, whatever. They'll crack on me. I didn't care. But one time, like they always picked on like this gay kid who went to our school. And one day we outside during gym class, and so one of the kids he said, he said, "Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go up there." I'm like, he's like, "I'm gonna dump him." So with dump is like he was gonna pick him up, like slam him on the ground. He was like, "When I dump him, I want y'all to start punching him." I was like,
"Oh my god!"
At the time, it was just like, you know, what do you say? Like, you know, kids doing kid stuff, it's peer pressure. So mind you, like we're walking and like this outside, it's like the track out there. We walk all over the joint. In my head, I'm like, I really don't want to do this shit. I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. So we get up there, and for name's sake, he was like, hey yo, Greg, come here. So he come over there, all, you know, flirting and flaunting and everything. Picks him up, boom, slams him, and like he was like holding. He's like, y'all, come on. The two kids that was with us started doing it. I was just like, how was it? I just want to make it look like I was a part of it, because I know if I didn't, that was gonna give me hell, you know. And like after that, I felt like shit. I was like, what the fuck did I just do today? Like, what was I a part of? Like, and like, I really feel like middle school was like just such a trying time for everybody. Like, it's so like rage and hormone inducing. Like everybody's like just developing as adolescents. It's a very uncomfortable thing. Yeah, you know.
I was like, I got bullied in middle school too, and I guess I was ugly because people used to call me Young Roach, and because they said that I looked like a bug. So yeah,
Nah, I used to get
kids are mean.
I used to get made fun of for my shoulders. I had big broad shoulders and everything. Like I used to wear Converse, I had long ass feet because of them shits. I made fun of everything. But like it got to the point where like nowadays like I embrace all those things. Like I like my frame. Like I like knowing I have large feet. I like knowing like just everything about me. Like all those things they made fun of me for, I just embraced.
Right.
I wasn't someone who was like. Who became so insecure about it where it was like I let that affect me. You know what I mean? I feel like it all kind of works better for me now. You know what I mean? So moving on after all that, get a little funny story out of you. Slam jam. That's fucked up. I remember, well, you say a lot that you're an energy person. You know what I mean? And you said I was religious.
Yeah.
But I want to know, like, because I feel like there's such a thing now. And I'm still unsure of what it is. So like, can you like tell me like what energy is as a general thing?
Yeah. So basically, energy is one of those things. Just to take it back to ninth grade science, that can never be created nor destroyed. So when you get into the depths of really thinking about what energy is really a spirit. And spirit, because energy is spirit. You're basically, you can't die. Your body might, go wherever in the ground, but your spirit doesn't die.
Your soul with the body, not
yeah,
the body with the soul.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, I can just feel people's spirit. I can feel people's intentions. I feel like I'm a very intuitive person, and I've definitely practiced to get to that point. Like there's been like times where I'm like, we've talked about. Yeah.
Talk about many things.
Yeah. For example, like sometimes like I can feel when somebody's about to text me or things like that because our spirits are so connected. And it's really very simple. It's just really who you are inside. And I watched this video once and it was like, if you don't say any words out loud, can you still hear yourself speaking?
Yeah.
Very insightful. And so for me, energy is just all about like the vibrations that you put off, and everything has energy, whether it's good or bad energy, and most of the time it's like mixed, good, bad, and in between are all in one person. And you can walk into a situation and kind of feel like the energy in the room. Like for example, like if I had a bad day, you'd be able to feel like the tension in the air, because energy is palpable, like you can feel it. So I hope that kind of helps. But
I understand.
Yeah, and just like to go back to, because you talked about religion, and I've made it very clear that I'm more spiritual than religious, and basically I believe in God, I believe in the spirit world, but I don't necessarily like have a set religion. And there's things that I do believe in and take from each religion, but because of that I don't define myself as anything except for spiritual. And I feel like once I started doing that, my relationship with God got a lot closer, because I didn't feel like I had to fit into a certain box that I didn't necessarily want to fit into. And also I'm not too well versed in other religions, so I'm just like, why would I call myself this? So that's like a lot to answer your question, but for me, like a spirit is just like who you are on the inside, and like just like not thinking about externals. Like, how do you make me feel when I talk to you? How do I make you feel when you talk to me? And that's the types of stuff that I pay attention to more than anything.
Sounds like a whole lot of Avatar: Last Airbender, but I feel what you're saying.
I've actually never ever seen that show.
Seriously?
No, I was never like what did it come on, like Cartoon Network?
First of all, Nickelodeon, show some respect.
Okay. Because I wasn't a Nickelodeon kid, I was a Disney kid.
I was a Cartoon Network kid.
Yeah, so was my brother, but I was not.
Shout out to the brother.
Yeah, I was never like a huge cartoon person.
Okay, well then let me ask you this. What do you get from my spirit, my energy?
I can tell that you are very passionate. I can tell that you enjoy being alive, which is good. I can tell that you like to make people feel better. I don't know if maybe it's sometimes at the expense of yourself, but I'm not gonna like diagnose you right now.
Reading my palm right now.
Yeah, I can feel it. But you definitely have like a very bright like energy. I'm not really like too deep in knowing like the colors and stuff, but like when I see you, I think like yellow. This is just like a ball of energy, and it's good.
Word.
I wouldn't have you helping me if you didn't feel good.
I understand that. Like I feel like nowadays, like the whole aspect of like religion is more of just practices. And what I mean by that is like for me, I'm obviously Christian and everything. My dad's a pastor. We own a church, so I'm in church every Sunday. You know what I mean? I'm a part of. I'm grew up in church, so I know the ways of what's right and what's wrong as far as Christianity is. The rules and all that kind of stuff. I feel like that's what religion is, and I feel like the difference between that and spirituality is, like you said, is that connection with God. It isn't. To me, I feel like God doesn't really give a fuck if I'm like, I don't know, like the Bible says you can't wear two types of clothing, cloth or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, the Bible says a lot of
It says a lot of shit.
Very outdated.
Right, and so to me it's like you gotta also understand, like, first of all, it was written by man. So
White
that
man.
being said,
At that.
boom, right? So with that being said, it really isn't something that I can put all my stock in when, of course, it's not going to come from him, but I do believe, like you said, it can filter through people,
Yeah.
prophets, spirituality, people, like all that. So I do believe that you can channel that energy.
Oh, for sure, you
but
can.
I think the whole restrictedness of it, I don't think that's God.
Yeah.
I don't think God is.
And that's my issue.
Right.
That's my issue with religion, period.
Right, and I don't think God is one to just, like, if we're all his children and everything, and of course, sin is wrong, and he's also very forgiving God, like, what's the diameter for you to be like, all right, I know I did wrong, so let me pray forgiveness and everything, and hopefully I can be a better person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we're not meant to be perfect. That's that nigga. You know what I mean? That's not us. Like, all we can do is just try to be just better people. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, I feel because I was always going to ask you about the energies, and it's such a thing nowadays. I'm only good energy and all the other kind of shit. I just feel like people just throw it around now.
Oh yeah, people definitely do throw it around, but like I said, I am an energy person. Like earlier this year, I quit a job because the energy didn't feel right, and nobody else, like, everybody loved it. They loved being there, and like there was something about it that just didn't sit right with me, and I quit. So I pay attention.
Spirit's moving through her. It's moving. It's flowing.
It is.
It's like, actually, my dad is preached this. He said we get in the way of letting God flow through us. Like, we're stopping him from allowing his grace to flow through us by, saying, oh, I can do all this by myself. I can handle everything on my own and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? When it's like you don't really got the strength to do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it takes that spiritual push. It takes that, because to me, like, the flesh can only be so much. And what you do with that, you're going to be extremely flawed, and you're not really going to have that genuine protection over you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, for someone like me, like, I wear this chain all the time, this serenity prayer. Like, I feel like that's my protection in itself. Like, I wear it every day. I don't care who say whatever about it. Like, this is for me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this genuinely has a protection over me, because I know I'm not a perfect human being, and this world can be kind of crazy sometimes. So, as long as I feel safe with this on, like, I'm good.